Hello, friends. Welcome to Four Friends in a Book, where we gather around each week and talk about the books that we've read and how they've potentially changed our views on the genres, the characters, and the stories that we've been reading. And we're live. Welcome, everybody, to the Four Friends in a Book. It's so good to see you guys. It's been a hot minute. We got a few things going on. To my left, the indomitable, the amazing, the superfluous, amazingly beautiful.
Joe needs something.
I have, instead of, how about Four Bookish Friends?
Four Bookish Friends. Okay.
You just gave up caring, didn't you, Teresa?
No.
She gave up caring. It's 100% honest. There was some feedback. Teresa got unsettled.
It's a long start. The dogs were getting restless. Yes, it works. I like it. It's great.
Sorry, I was just reading our meme here. So 3, 2, 1, take 2. Welcome to Four Bookish Friends, and we're so happy to have you here on our first week with a new title. To my left, the indomitable, the amazing, the superfluously beautiful and unstoppable Dr. Teresa Martin Starrett.
Superfluously beautiful?
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that.
What? That one slipped in. Everything else was just, I was swooning.
I was using $25 words from the SAT.
Yeah, but superfluously. I'm not sure that.
I didn't want to say frivolously.
Maybe it's unnecessarily beautiful because the beauty speaks.
Oh no, it's
itself.
necessary. I mean, it's the full package. I mean, look at her.
I know, but it's superfluous. I'm trying to get your back, David.
No, I appreciate it. No, I willingly admit that I used the wrong word, but I was on a roll and I couldn't let it go, and here we are. And just for the record,
you were nailing it.
It was.
Sunday was our 13th anniversary, so this is a bad year. This is a bad luck year in theory, right? So I've already kicked it off with the superfluously, and that's fine. I own it. It's all mine.
Thank you, Joe.
But I want you to know I would not be where I am today.
Wait, when is your 13th anniversary?
It was on Sunday, but I would not be where I am today without the amazing
superfluous.
Superfluously beautiful.
Look, I owned it once. I would not be where I am today without the amazing wife and spouse and partner.
Trying to get a word in edgewise.
Teresa.
Congratulations on your anniversary.
Thank you. Right, I don't think it's a bad luck year. I don't know.
I don't know. Most hotels do not have a 13th floor.
Are we a hotel?
That's not true. We stayed on the 13th floor recently.
Did you?
That's Vegas.
No, where was it? Was it Windsor? Might have been Windsor.
I don't remember. This is fascinating, but I'm going to pass it over to Diane Mama D. Mays, the lovely and talented.
From the Political Podcast. Hello everybody.
Hello.
Pass it on over to Joe.
Hi, friends. Joe is the superfluous one in this. Oh, hi. The word of the day is superfluous.
Superfluous. That needs to be the podcast name.
Superfluous friends.
No,
if you can spell it without looking it up, bonus points.
Oh, superfluous. Superfluous. Superfluous.
See, now I'm going to look it up.
There was a superfluous letter in the end of that.
But
I think you're right.
Superfluous. Superfluous.
Are you looking at the definition then, David?
No, I'm not looking it up. I'm on vacation, spring break.
It's true. What are you doing on your spring break?
I was sleeping.
Fair.
But then we had dogs.
We really relaxed.
Okay, I got you here, David. Superfluous is something that is unnecessary, especially because it's more than enough.
Oh.
Nailed it.
So the SAT buzzword did work. What up?
Okay.
I just think you have like the
Unnecessarily
seventh
beautiful.
definition for that. What's that?
But he said superfluously beautiful, so it's unnecessarily beautiful.
It's more than enough.
I don't know, it's weird. But thank you.
You have more beauty than you need.
I love you.
I love you.
I get you back, David.
Look, I'm just gonna say it, and I'm probably gonna have to be, but you have to put an R rating on this. Like, you're effing hot. I mean, there's no other way to say it.
There you go.
Slap that rating on. What's our topic this week? It's mine.
So this week we have From the Rafters, magical realism, not political satire, but magical realism.
Did you say From the Rafters?
Yes.
Did you know? How did you know what book I was going to be discussing as my primary magical realism book?
I knew what
magical.
book.
It's magical, Joe.
Yes, it is.
Magical. Okay, I'm going to hop in on magical realism. And I've really been thinking about this a lot because I think that it really is like sci-fi light in some ways. Do you agree with me?
I do. I like that. Sci-fi light.
Yeah, because I don't think, like when I think of straight sci-fi, like Blake Crouch, that I don't believe is magical realism. I don't think that Project Hail Mary is magical realism. I think those are just straight sci-fi.
Where's the psi?
Not real?
Yes, no, science.
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
So it's the psi, some of them, maybe.
Yeah. I don't know. It was,
you know,
I was just thinking about it.
So it's interesting. I watched a movie or read a book a long time ago that said magic is just science that we have yet to understand. So, you know,
I've read those. That's what's his name's? The Arthur C. Clarke had these 3 laws, one of which it goes back to the whole Hanlon's razor. I started unpacking Hanlon's razor. Let me see if I can find my notes on this. Gray's law, and there's multiple versions of Gray's law. That says any sufficiently advanced incompetence is indistinguishable from malice. But there were other versions of that that said exactly what you just said, David. Let me find Gray's law. But yeah, it's yeah. These are Clarke's 3. These are variants of Arthur C. Clarke's 3rd law. Any sufficiently advanced extraterrestrial intelligence is indistinguishable from God. That's one. Any sufficiently advanced garbage. No, that's not it. Any sufficiently familiar technology is indistinguishable from nature.
I accept that.
Variations of Clarke's 3rd law.
Huh. Okay. Well, I'm going to share my book. Now,
actually, doesn't Joe lead us out? Or is it, no, this is your topic?
It's my topic.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
And I really think this is my favorite subgenre or genre. I love it. I love it so much. When I was thinking about the books that I really enjoyed that are 5-star books for me, consistently they have a wee bit of magical realism in it. And I am not, as you know, a whimsical person at all. So I'm kind of surprised that, Joe, what is happening? I'm kind of surprised that I love it so much. So, I went back to my old favorite, and it's Shark Heart. Shark Heart. It is honestly one of the best books I've ever read, and there's a couple reasons why. One is it is on the surface, it's completely implausible. This newlywed couple are really, really happy, and then they find out shortly after they get married that he is turning into a shark. And it sounds so ridiculous, but the way she writes is so powerful and so beautiful, and it just immersed me into the idea that someone could turn into a completely different entity, and then all the feelings that are associated with that. Not only is this a beautiful story, it is written in such a way that I highly recommend, if you're going to read it, to read the print version, because she changes up the way she presents the text. There are some really short paragraphs, some short chapters, but then she'll have a page with 2 words on it, and it works. It's just so beautiful. And it had me thinking just about relationships and the grief you go through when you lose someone for whatever reason,
Exactly.
and the power of love. So, the most beautiful book. Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
I have a question, not about this book, but you said
Yeah.
something. You said that the majority of books that you really love have some element of magical realism in them,
Mm-hmm.
which is why you think you like it. Can you think of an example of a book that wouldn't be considered a magical realism book that has that little element that you're talking about? That's not necessarily a full-blown magical realism story, but there are elements of it that really pop for you. That that
Well, I think they would be categorized as magical realism, but I think I didn't know it was a thing until I started identifying um the commonalities of these books that just have reached me. And it could be, actually, if you think about it, like Wayward. It could be that it's someone's immersive imagination rather than magical
But it
realism. I
still
don't
has
know.
elements of magical realism. Like the
Hold on,
Pardon
she
me?
froze. There she is.
element of magical realism that's going to be considered a magical like,
Hmm.
yeah, when I get to my book, I'll explain.
an
Yeah.
example that well, I thought of one in particular, Billy Summers, the
Uh-huh.
Stephen King book, which is absolutely
Uh-huh.
no fantasy, no fiction, but there's
Hmm.
one element
Hmm.
where Billy Summers is on this mountaintop and he looks across and sees the glimmering of a hotel that's over on the far mountain, but it's not always visible. And the old guy he's talking to says, yeah, sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. And it's the Overlook Hotel
Hmm.
from The Shining, which is very
Hmm.
definitely magical realism.
Hmm.
But even that just dropped that little, it's one line, it's a throwaway line in the book, has nothing to do with the story. Um, Other than it ties it to this magical realism universe of Stephen
Hmm.
King. So that's when you said that about some element or some component, just a little glimpse, a little one drop of magical realism.
Could that be construed as someone's imagination rather than um a full-blown strand of the story? I don't know. I don't know. I
Yeah, in this case, no, but it was,
Mhm.
but it wasn't. Yeah, it was. It just let you know that no matter how, because this was a gritty, a hitman, almost a
Mhm.
art noir kind of book. It was a not a procedural, but it was this hitman going after this thing, very gritty and dirty. But it just dropped this little flash of this magicalness that kind of, I think, may have been sort of a allegory for what life is like, because we go through life and we have all these horrific things and all these gritty parts of life, but there's magic around us everywhere. You maybe not, you know, as glaring as in Wayward or some of the other books we're going to talk about.
I agree with you. You know, I mean, anybody who's ever experienced spring knows that there's, magic. How everything seems to it happens again. We get this chance for the regrowth and the beauty, and so call it whatever you want, but I agree with you. Who wants to talk about their book? Because I could talk. I would want everyone to read this book.
I put it on my list because you speak of it, and was it Hannah or Taylor? Somebody from the store was reading it and was just enthralled.
I just read it.
Or did you?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I read it. And Stephanie had read it. And so Stephanie had the hardcover, but I also listened to it. I did both. They do an excellent job listening to it too, for sure.
Good.
Excellent job of you're almost able to see how short, how the chapters are written. But oh God, yeah, such a good book. And I think with magical realism too, there's allegory to it. There's something more, especially character for sure. Like you can relate to it with this absurd thing that's happening, and yet you're like, I get it. I get it. I get what they're talking about. I get every part of it. So
It strips away all the physical possibility of being able to connect with the characters, but showing that it's what's inside that is where the connection is. Man, interesting.
Completely connect with these characters.
Yeah,
I need to read this.
absolutely.
You do.
It's beautiful.
Yeah,
It's
I need to
just
read this one.
beautiful. Yeah.
So yeah, I will have a hard time with it because I don't like books that have like 2 words on a page and then you turn a page. I feel like that's just
You never read Chronicles of Seamus, did you?
no.
I have an entire chapter that's a footnote.
Yeah, it just makes me decidedly uncomfortable. I don't know what it is. Like I want those pages to be even, with the margins, the whole 9 yards. That's probably one of the few things I have besides that and wet bread. Like I'm just that's the way I am. It's weird. But I get for the imagery, for the evolution of the person, the character, you have that kind of speaks to that, but it just I don't know, it's very unsettling for me. Like I feel like I'm being cheated out of my
I
book
would
purchase.
encourage you to give it a try. Honestly.
Now, Joe has said he's put this on his list. Is this like a list that Teresa has of books that you recommend to her? Or is this for real, you're going to read this book?
No, I'm for real going to read this book. Teresa spoken highly of it, and at some point I'm going to read the Briar Club, but I have to forget everything Diane has told me about the Briar Club.
Yeah.
Did we tell you that story? I was going through this period of really just intense anxiety, and so every night, Diane, when we got in bed, Diane would tell me what had happened in the book that day and was recounting it to me. So I have such fond memories of that book because of the kindness that Diane was demonstrating by just bringing this, and it was kind of my security blanket at the end of the day.
Now, why it's been included in this podcast?
Yes, it is. But no, this is the legit. I'm going to read this. Unlike some people, like my son, for example, I don't automatically dismiss a book because somebody else says they like it. Or somebody, and maybe it's just me. Like if I recommend a book to John, he's already said, yeah, if I recommend it, he's not going to read it. So like I sent him The Road, and as a young father, I think he would just be enthralled by The Road, which is my favorite Cormac. But he won't read it because I sent it to him. But I'm not like that. If somebody has a good book and it seems to resonate with me, then I'll read it.
Yeah, I think he's going to.
It just is stuck with me for 2.5 years since I've read it. It will
You and
probably.
Stephania read this book, right?
I'm sorry?
You and our friend Stephania read this book, correct?
Yeah.
And did you choose this or did she choose this?
I honestly can't remember, but it was the cover that was the kicker for me, because
love
I
you.
would not the premise feels so weird and so outlandish that I would have poo-pooed it, but if the cover hadn't been so gorgeous.
Do you think this was where you found your love of magical realism? I mean, if you've already spoken to this, I apologize, but I know you said this. I know you said that you realized this is your genre or your subset, but was it because of this book that it became your favorite, you think?
I don't think it was because of it, but I think that's when I realized that there was a common thread
Okay.
with many of the books that I have truly enjoyed and felt so much for or with.
Where is the line? Diane mentioned fantasy. Where is the line between fantasy, and I think I'm answering the question in my mind as I'm asking it. Where's the line between fantasy and magical realism?
Realistic. The realism.
Yeah.
Well, okay, that's fair.
You can
I
see
think
that to me. Sorry.
Yeah, it seems like fantasy has a lot of traditionally has a lot of world building,
Mm.
and like Diane said, these are solidly in a real spot, something that you would relate to, and then it goes off a little bit differently.
The
You know,
realism element. It's based in the real.
yeah,
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
I think that's a great way to think about it because like the book that I've chosen is based in New York, but it's an alternative magical filled location, right? And so if it were to be a fantasy book, not that that's a bad genre to read, but I think it'd be like, I don't know, Game of Thrones esque kind of
Mhm.
thing, where it would be this Westeros setting as opposed to Denton, Texas. So I think for me, I think that's why I like magical realism more than I like fantasy. And I've tried fantasy novels and
Mhm.
I just can't do it. What's oh gosh, what is the series that's super hot right now? Iron and Blood or something.
Lord of Thorn and
Um,
Roses. Yeah, Fourth
Fourth
Wing.
Wing, yeah. I've tried. Teresa has bought those books. You guys, I know, sell a lot of them, but for
Yeah.
whatever reason, like I've tried the books that Teresa has purchased, and I just cannot do it. Um, I guess it's very much like Harry Potter. Like I can watch the movies all day. I read the first chapter of the first book, and I gave the set away on a plane because I just was like, nope, can't do it.
And see, now
Um,
the fantasy, that's
yeah,
not real, realism.
See, I can't just dive into fantasy because for fantasy's sake. There are some people where it doesn't matter what the fantasy is. They want to
Mhm.
learn about this made up world and follow the fantasy, and it kind of doesn't matter. To me, the story has to be more than just hey fantasy, read me. It's got it
Mhm.
because like there are like Harry Potter, and again they were very repetitive the early parts of all of the books, but I think that was on purpose. Um, and Lord of the Rings back in the day when I read those, the creating of the world was it. The creation of the world wasn't for its own sake. It was
right.
necessary, and that the world was built and laid out as the story needed that part of the
Mhm.
world to be there.
Right.
But
Well, and I mean,
some of these they just build a world and say, "Oh, look what I did! I wrote fantasy."
Mhm.
see, and I
Not my
love the
thing.
Lord of the Rings, the Hobbit, and all that, but like I cannot find my way through Harry Potter or the Fourth Wing. But it's weird because I can burn through a Star Wars novel in no time, and that's all that's fantasy sci-fi because it is. But
And
Harry Potter, can't do it. I cannot suspend my disbelief for the book, but I can for the movies, and I think that's a huge issue for me as well. So
Well, to stay with the magical realism piece, Joe, do you want
Right.
to talk
Right.
about your book?
I've got,
Yeah, I've got two as well.
Okay.
Diane, go ahead.
Okay.
I want to talk first about the one that led me when you said that about what led you to think that you loved magical realism. And the
Mhm.
first one I read that did that for me was The World That We Know. No, Knew. The World That We Knew by Alice Hoffman. It is a beautiful, beautifully written book. I think it's like the most beautifully written book I've ever read. But historical fiction with magical realism in it.
It's like your two
That
favorites.
to be my favorite. I love that. And it's about World War II and about the French having to leave the area during Hitler's invasion and the moving of the French children to a safe haven. But it's just done so well. So anyway, that's a brief message, mention of that book. The other book is Murmur of Bees.
I've not read that. I've got it, but I haven't read it.
It is by Sofia Segovia. I don't know if that's right. But she's a Mexican author, and it then was translated into English. And it is about Mexico in the turn of the century of 1900s, and it leads you into the flu of 1918. They call it the Spanish flu.
Really?
They explain where that title came from in the book, but it's about a little boy who's covered in bees, and he's disfigured, and he's covered in bees, and just how the bees help in society. It's just, it is written with humor and got the, magical realism thing with the bees and the boy who is disfigured and his part in the family. And it's about this family and how they navigate the, there's a revolution happening. I think 1910 is the revolution in Mexico. And then, like I said, it leads you through the horror of the Spanish flu, but yet you're laughing through it, and just so well done. So for me, history being told to me through books like these are just, it makes me interested in it. And this will probably offend David. I don't know, but history was my least favorite subject in school. I don't know how political science people feel about it. No, because it wasn't told creatively. And this is a creative way for me to learn. And then I'm investigating, oh my God, did this really happen? Is this really how things were? So, yeah, so Murmur of Bees, if you haven't read it, I highly suggest it.
Thank you. Yeah, I purchased it and then I couldn't remember why I bought it. I mean, it's pretty.
It's pretty. There you go.
Hey, Diane, what was the first book?
Huh?
What was the first book?
The first book was The World That We Knew.
The World That We Knew.
And Alice Hoffman is also the writer of Practical Magic. She wrote that
Was that a
series,
movie?
but this is a one-off. This is not part of Practical Magic. It's a one-off book. Like I said, just so beautifully written.
I love that.
Yeah, I'm interested in the Murmur of Bees because I looked it up, and it's a very nice book cover. So I know Teresa's in.
Yeah.
And then the World That We Knew is kind of a haunting looking book cover, to be honest.
Yeah.
Is that a crane on there?
Yes, and there's a
Okay.
reason for that. It's been a while since I read it, but
Okay.
that's the book that has a golem in it.
Oh, I remember you talking about that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah. And I didn't even know what that was. So again, there I go investigating to find out, just, like I said, just a beautifully written book.
Okay. See, I'm going to get a whole list of books that I'm going to have to read from this episode.
Yeah.
So who wants to go next? Joe or David?
I'm good. I mean, I'll talk about mine and I'll let Joe talk about his. So
Okay.
mine's kind of a series. So I had a lot of choice. Like I could have reached into my bag of cozy mysteries, but I thought, no, I want to branch out and do something different. But a lot of the books I've been reading in this genre or time of the cozy of my life have had an element of magical realism to them, whether it's been elves or Santa Claus or vampires, witches, whatever. Like, there's been magical realism throughout the majority of the cozy mysteries I've read, but I delved into something a little bit different. And this is fast becoming one of my favorite authors, and that's Dan Willis. And he's got 2 different series going that I'm reading. I just got his 13th book for his other series I'm reading, but this one's called the book is called Curse of the Phoenix. And this is from the Arcane Irregulars series, and this is book 1 of that series. And just for the record, I'm not saying you have to start with the first book in a series, but if you don't, then I think there's something wrong with you, because it really builds upon itself from Willis's work. And when I first opened it up, I was like, well, I'm going to try something different. And so all of his books in this Arcane Irregulars and in the Arcane Casebook series, the other series I'm reading, delve around sorcery and then a group of individuals called rune rights. Rune rights. I'm saying that right. And what they are people who can draw these symbols, and then they can light them on fire like that on this fire, this quick burning paper, and they're able to conduct, or they're able to do magic based on these symbols or glyphs that they've drawn on these pieces of paper, this rune right paper, to cast spells. And so there's several main characters. There's a police lieutenant, there's an FBI agent, and then there's also the mentor, if you will, Dr. Ignatius Bell, of basically the lead character from his first series, the Arcane Casebook series. Now, Alex, the lead figure, is out in this series. He's kind of on the back burner. Okay. And so Dr. Bell becomes kind of a lead character to help solve mysteries in this book. And as part of the rune rights, so they're able to cast these spells, help the FBI and the police solve mysteries. But there's also another element, and it's during the time of the robber barons, the Rockefellers and the others. And what's interesting is, as opposed to them being the ones that leech upon society and take advantage of the less fortunate, they have become mythical. And in the case of Dan Willis, they become sorcerers who use their talents and resources to help all of mankind within the New York, New Jersey metropolitan area. And so instead of Rockefeller stealing from the poor or the less affluent businessmen who are trying to make their way, the way Rockefeller does or did, they actually are sorcerers who build public transportation vehicles or use their talents to bring electricity to the homes of the population of the New York, New Jersey area. So it's a super cool theory, and really a turning on the ear, if you will, of these historically terrible individuals, powerful, progressive, but just downright terrible people. And so it's a really interesting read. Now, I don't want to give away all the mystery and magic of this series, but I will say Dr. Bell is one of the preeminent figures, not only in the book, but throughout the historical aspect of literature. That's all I'm going to say. And when you read his story in this first book, you're going to be like, everything I know about mysteries from history makes more sense if you consider the author and the lead character in this genre, or this track that Dr. Ignatius Bell presents.
And what's the name of the book?
The name of the book is Curse of the Phoenix, and it's the Arcane Irregular series, and this is by Dan Willis.
Okay.
And again, part of the fun is trying to figure out if you can solve the mystery at the same time that they're solving it. And so not only do you have sorcerers, you've got rune rights, but you've also got alchemists in there as well, who use elemental parts of the earth and to create formulas or potions to make our lives better, whether it be to cleaning up your clothes or helping you live longer. Alchemy is a key or plays a key role in not only this book, but also the second book I'm reading, which I started 2 days ago, since we were, podcasting this week. But highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun. I can't really talk much about it. I mean, you'll meet the characters, you'll see the story. And much like I do with Star Wars or other magical realistic elements, I see the characters and I see the story playing out in my mind, and I can imagine what the world would be like if we had true magic and we embraced it as part of our existence. So, yeah.
Interesting. That one sounds good.
For sure.
It's actually kind of fun.
Almost like an alternate timeline and magical realism, and yeah, it's kind of cool.
I would say dystopian, but it's not, because it's just like it's the alternative, like the 1920s, 19-teens, if, we had magic and sorcerers.
Altopian. It's not
Altopian,
dystopian. It's not
also
utopian.
well done.
It's
Yeah.
altopian.
I need you to trademark that right now.
Altopian? T-shirts.
Altopian. Yeah.
Altopian.
Nice.
You heard it here first.
There you go.
Right,
Right
exactly.
here on the Four Bookish Friends podcast. Copyright the
Perfect.
four of us immediately.
I like it.
Sadly, Altopia has already been trademarked.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Used or has it been copyrighted?
Yeah, it's been, I won't say it's been copyrighted, but it's pretty much in the vernacular of certain groups like the Proletariat Poetry Factory.
Yeah, and there's a whole graphic novel thing. So, all right, that's fair.
Okay, scratch that.
Just because somebody else already had it doesn't mean it wasn't a good idea. You ever see the movie Night Shift with Henry Winkler and Michael Keaton?
Yes. Classic.
Michael Keaton is, I'm an idea man, Chuck. And he talks about all these great ideas that he had, but they already had them. Like, those little hand wipes? I was playing poker in Vegas and I invented those, but turns out they already had them. He said, but I invented them. And then he said, making tuna fish sandwiches. Wait, I got to write this down. So he has a recorder and he says, feed the tuna mayonnaise. Or feed mayonnaise to the tuna.
Wasn't this one of Ron Howard's first films?
Yeah, and he nailed it with Shelley Long and Henry Winkler and Love Brokers. Great movie.
I will have to watch that.
Not a movie podcast, but speaking of movies, the Oscars are coming up this week. Diane and I have been watching. We haven't watched all of those that have been nominated for Best Picture, but we've watched a bunch of them. There's some really, really good movies in this year. So yeah, some unbelievable performances, and this ties together Hamnet in particular, which was one of Diane's favorite books. We watched that the other night, and the actress that plays the lead in that is spectacular. She is incredible.
Yeah.
Okay.
They did an excellent job.
Yeah. So, but Sinners should win everything except Best Supporting Actor should be Sean Penn for One Battle After Another. He was unbelievable. Anyway,
I do want to say, like, not to interrupt, but while Sinners will probably win, I wish Frankenstein would win, because that was a chef's kiss movie.
Oh,
it's amazing. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. Haley is obsessed with Frankenstein, and she was not a huge fan because it wandered too far afield from canon. So she wasn't a huge fan of it. But there is a new a movie called Bride that's in theaters now. That is the same actress who played Agnes in Hamnet plays this Bride of Frankenstein. What the heck is her name? Anyway, Jessie Buckley, yeah. And it's a Maggie Gyllenhaal directed movie. And yeah. Anyway, Jessie Buckley is spectacular in Hamnet. Okay, my two books.
Yes.
The first one I read over 20 years ago, and it still has stayed with me. And there are pieces of it in particular, and I want to read a passage, and I rarely do this, but this is a passage that the imagery that it created is a permanent part of my psyche. It's absolutely wonderful. And that is the book, The Lovely Bones. And I don't, have you read that? Are you familiar with it?
I'm familiar with it.
The movie was subpar, was disappointing, but the book was phenomenal. It's a little heavy, and I actually had loaned it to a friend when I was living in Florida, and she got 2 pages in or 10 pages in. She said, "I can't." It deals with and trigger warning. It deals with sexual assault. And this young 14-year-old girl is sexually assaulted and killed. And that's how the book starts. That's not a spoiler.
Right.
And the book is from her POV. And so she's sort of stuck in limbo in this book. And kind of almost toggling between continuing to look downward on Earth and wanting her murder solved, but also looking to what's beyond. And it talks about a very atheistic heaven, for lack of a better term, and where it's not any sort of religion connection to it. But the part that I absolutely adore is the family dog. And after she passed, there was a whole lot of drama. The parents ended up splitting up, and the dog, she would look down from her limbo and see that the dog was laying at her father's feet every night before they went to sleep. So, but let me read this one passage that just melts me, and it's a permanent part of my psyche. All right. It's by Alice Sebold. She was also a victim of, which is where this came from, or a survivor of sexual assault. Anyway, years passed. The trees in our yard grew taller. And again, this is from Susie's perspective. She's looking down on us. The trees in our yard grew taller. I watched my family and my friends and neighbors, the teachers whom I'd had or imagined having, the high school I had dreamed about. As I sat in the gazebo, I would pretend instead that I was sitting on the topmost branch of the maple under which my brother had swallowed a stick and still played hide and seek with Nate, or I would perch on the railing of a stairwell in New York and wait for Ruth to pass near. I would study with Ray, drive the Pacific Coast Highway on a warm afternoon of salty air with my mother, but I would end each day with my father in his den. I'll skip paragraph. Okay. At Evensong, and Evensong is what she referred to as this heaven, this place where she was at. At Evensong one night, while Holly played her sax and Mrs. Bethel Utemeyer joined in, I saw him. Holiday was their dog. Holiday racing past a fluffy white Samoyed. He had lived to a ripe old age on earth and slept at my father's feet after my mother left, never wanting to let him out of his sight. He had stood with Buckley while he built his fort and had been the only one permitted on the porch while Lindsay and Samuel kissed. And in the last few years of his life, every Sunday morning, Grandma Lynn had made him a skillet-sized peanut butter pancake, which, see, this is the part where we're crying, which she would place flat on the floor, never tiring of watching him try to pick it up with his snout. I waited for him to sniff me out. She'd been seeing these dogs in even song. I waited for him to sniff me out, anxious to know if here on the other side I would still be the little girl he had slept beside. I did not have to wait long. He was so happy to see me, he knocked me down. Warned you. Yeah.
I ran out of juice.
Oh, you ran out of juice? Yeah, I see you connecting. Diane's reconnecting.
No, I mean, it's there. I have to reconnect on here.
Oh, okay. Oh, gotcha. Okay. So
That was
anyway, that's
beautiful. Yeah,
that's
that's
the
beautiful.
imagery that
Yeah.
is, and it's sort of really key integral to the story, but that imagery has just stayed with me so long. pure
Yeah.
magical realism. You're dealing with an afterlife world that, so
Yeah.
it's some world building. But anyway, that's what came to mind when we were talking about magical realism. So thank you for bringing that memory back up, and I hope I made you cry.
Oh, and thank you for sharing that. That's,
Yeah.
I'm quite certain that all of our animals are
Lined
hanging
up.
out in the queue,
Yep, they are lined up waiting for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Boy, you got me in the feels. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Well, and okay, so skipping to my other book, Diane is still.
I'm not going to be able to probably.
Are you not going to be able to join back in? Right.
Do you want to just scoot up close to Joe?
There, we'll do that.
Man.
You're in?
Now we can
Okay.
see neither of you guys.
Oh yeah,
That's a
because you got this
great
vertical.
hallway
Can you
table.
hear me? Can you still hear me?
Yeah, we'd have to
Kind
be
of.
stacked.
What I just did my phone. I mean, I'm done with data.
You can't get connect to my phone. Shut off your hotspot, and then you should be able to connect the modem.
I did that, and it's not good.
Okay, mine may be pegged out too. Anyway, the second book was Husbands, by Holly Gramazio. Holly, is that right?
I think so.
Yeah, Holly Gramazio.
Hey, Joe, put your face in. I can't see you anymore.
Well,
There you go.
disorienting. Yeah,
Yeah.
the spectral voice coming from.
Yeah. Make it stop.
Wait. Hold on.
Husband, but
What? What are you
Time
saying?
out.
Hold on for?
Is this the book where they go into the attic?
yes.
Yes.
Let Joe tell the story.
Hey,
It's such a good book. But now I have to go get a Kleenex because you made me cry.
So
I cried in reaction.
I did caution you.
You
I
absolutely did,
cautioned-
but I thought I'm not gonna cry. What's he talking about?
Yeah, I knew
Okay,
I knew
so-
that one would land hard
Ugh,
on all of us.
okay.
So yeah.
So start talking about the husbands, and I'm gonna go
Husbands.
get Kleenex.
The premise of the story is this young woman living in England. So there's some world building or suspension of disbelief because it's like, like England's a real country. No, just kidding. She's living in England in this flat, and she has this fiance that she's not really convinced is the one, but she kind of feels like she's at that age where she needs to be marrying. And so he goes up to fix a light, if I'm not mistaken. It's been a while, been a couple years. And when he comes down out of the attic, he is no longer him. It's an entirely different person. And there are subtle changes to her apartment and her life. And it starts off with this one, and then she starts seeing the connection between them going in the attic and then a new man coming down that is the man in her life. In some cases, they're married. In some cases, they have children. In some cases, they've just met. And she goes through this entire litany of men that just descend from her attic every time one goes into the attic. And when she gets to ones she really likes, she's like, "Ooh, don't go in the attic. Don't go in the attic." And really, the suspension of disbelief, or the magical part, is obviously, you go in an attic, and when you come back down, you're a different human being, and you've altered the universe. Her world changed because of the people that were in it, which is true when you start looking at our life arcs and the arcs of our stories. It's impacted by the people that are in our life. The other thing that really sort of broadly, she was trying to decide, because in some cases, the man who came down from the attic, they had sort of not disconnected, but they weren't like living together. And she kind of grew to really enjoy her own independent private time where she wasn't in a relationship. So it was really interesting to see her do all of this exploration and all of this seeing what life had to hold and what life she really wanted. And that's really what it came down to for me. With this book is she had to figure out who she was and what she wanted her life to be and what she wanted in her life. And that to me was the whole sort of story arc, is that was her journey through that. The impetus or the trigger for all of that being this magical realism where she could send a guy she didn't like up to go get a suitcase out of the attic, and she had never had any idea who was going to come back down. And rarely, I think one time she had somebody came back down for a second time, didn't she?
I don't remember.
Yeah. Anyway,
So,
yeah, it's been a few years since we read it.
Yeah. She was
Oh,
able to
good.
run into someone out in public that she had been married to. And
Yes.
that is such a good book.
It was such a good book. Yeah.
Really wasn't sure I was going to enjoy it. We actually listened to it on the road on a road trip. But yeah, it was pretty incredible. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Didn't think I was going to, but I did.
I think for me, one of the biggest takeaways was, in some ways, be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
Because the examination of who the right person is for her, you see it play out over and over and over again. And, it makes you just go, if you keep asking yourself that question, that there's something better, something different, are you ever content? Are you ever happy?
Yeah, and that's what really what for me was such a key piece of it was it wasn't until she discovered who she really was, and that she had made peace with that part of life before anybody was going to be sufficient.
It was such a good book.
It's very much like The Runaway Bride and again, this is not a movie podcast, but Julia Roberts could not find the perfect husband until she figured out who she was apart from everybody else.
Yeah.
I would just like to point this out. This goes back to the eggs, right? How she likes her eggs.
Yep.
Oh, that's
The
right.
last time we brought up this book, we had the same correlation. So that's really locked together in our minds. Yeah. But yeah, it's exactly what it reminded me of is it was just much more subtle. And I was like, where is this going? And really the whole time all this craziness is going on, it's her, the one steady thing is her slowly discovering herself. Anyway, that's yeah.
I think
enjoyed
I'll
it.
have to read this book because Teresa has loved this book. And it's not because I think Joe is giving a better synopsis of it, but I think I always thought of this as the anti-Stepford Wives kind of thing, right? Where you have where you try to find that perfect spouse or that perfect partner, even if it's a robot. And I think that's how, that's from the movie, obviously. So I'm not sure about the book, but
No,
I
it's
think
very much, these are real people. These men that come
Right.
down are real humans. Yeah.
Yeah, with real issues and
But I think the underlying premise is you have to know thyself kind of aspect before you can find that light from somebody else.
Yeah.
Which is why, it's our anniversary, so I'm going to be kind of sappy. I think that was key because Teresa and I spent a lot of time being friends before we got serious and got married, because we were trying to figure out who we were outside of our relationships to make sure that we were ready.
Yeah.
And there were other important factors as well. We had the kids and whatnot, but I think knowing who we are helped us become who we are as a couple versus two single people thrown together.
Yeah.
I agree.
So, she's my soulmate, and
You're
I'm
mine.
deeply flawed, but she has been there to pick me up and hold my hand the whole way.
Same. Well, happy anniversary. This
Thank you.
should be celebrated. You guys are a beautiful couple. You're beautiful friends, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, do
Agreed.
you notice my name?
Teresa's.
Teresa's
No, I
not.
can't see it because my non-addict
Because-
husband.
That's right. Teresa's non-addict husband.
Slowly.
We actually are planning to put some things in the attic in the garage, but I'm the one going up.
Ever since you talked about this book, I refuse to go in the attic.
Yeah, definitely.
I've been up multiple times. The
But-
boxes were just too big for me to do all by myself.
I either need to take a break. What I can't see the what are we? 55 minutes. I don't want to
55
rush
minutes.
this,
Okay.
but I was going to hand my camera to Diane and step
Mhm.
away from the microphone for just a minute, unless we're getting ready to wrap up or what.
We can wrap up. I mean, let's talk
Yeah.
briefly about the road forward. I mean, because next week is going to be, or I guess in 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Okay.
So 2 weeks from today will put us at March 24th. Will be episode whatever. But it'll be which book? Political satire. Is that right, Joe?
Political satire, and here's sort of the inspiration behind
Mhm.
that. And these, I've got some movie references, but at least one of them. Well, actually, there's 3 movie references, but one of them was based on a book. The movie Wag the Dog, which was
Mhm.
based on a book, which is political satire. Catch-22 is kind of the same type of political satire. Bob Roberts. I don't know if you've ever seen Bob Roberts with Tim Robbins.
Mhm.
Yeah, he is a uber conservative folk singer that the Conservative Party turns into their candidate, and his whole shtick is playing these very conservative based folk songs, and it's a mockumentary. So it's following him around on his transformation and his elevation to be the candidate, and following him around on the campaign. And there's no book behind that I can find, but there is a book behind Wag the Dog. But those are the types of books living in sort of this absurdist political environment that we're in today. Political satire just seemed to fit.
Is that
Okay.
humorous?
Yes.
If it's satire, it means it's a humorous, politically satirical humorous.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. And not even necessarily like outrageously funny, like Catch-22, for example, is presented very as though this were a serious story, but the writing is so clever. Joseph Heller is so clever that, the whole changing the number of missions, and it's satire done well is exceptional. So anyway, yes.
Okay. So we got
So
2
yeah,
weeks.
that's
to
in
read
2
that.
weeks.
One
Okay.
of the books that popped up when Teresa and I were looking up political satire, just so we'd have it grounded, was the America the Book: A Citizen's Guide to Democracy in Action by John Stewart and others. I received that when I was finishing my first master's, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that would be a great book."
There you
But
go.
I gave it away or threw it away. I forget what I did with it. But yeah, be a great book.
Yeah,
So,
that sounds perfect.
It does.
Yeah. And what God Bless America and So Can You, or something. There's a book title that's coming to mind that I can't think of it. I think it's Stephen Colbert that wrote it, but anyway.
yeah,
Okay,
sounds
this
right.
is going to be interesting because this is not my
No, me either.
Could be fiction, can be nonfiction, can
Okay.
be, can kind of go a little different. If there's political themes, there's no hard, fast rules.
Okay.
Just the absurdity of the world that we find ourselves in, which is really what precipitated me digging up
Mhm.
the origins behind Hanlon's razor. Hanlon's razor is don't attribute to malice that which can be explained by stupidity. So just because somebody does something doesn't mean they did it to be mean. They may just be that stupid. So that's kind of where I went down Clark's third law, and yeah, Robert Heinlein had a version of this, and yeah, so that's the world we find ourselves in. Don't know whether
Okay.
they're malicious or stupid or both.
Maliciously stupid.
Stupidly malicious.
All right, friends. Well,
Okay. Thank
You
you
guys
for
have been
talking
awesome.
about my favorite subgenre. Love it.
Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you for having this.
this was a great one.
It was.
It brought up books, and it was interesting that you said that because it brought up books that I've read in the past that had those magical elements set in a real setting that made me think, oh yeah, I like that genre too. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, you guys are the best. I'm glad we were able to make this work.
Bye. Love you guys. I know.
Bye. Love you too.
I love you.
This is the Patchouli Podcast Network.